Yes, people, what's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and this is a late one tonight. Late one. Let's get straight into it. Everton have not put in the second bid for Willie Gnonto, the Leeds winger attacker. Everton put in the bid for £15 million earlier in the summer transfer window, and it doesn't appear that they're going to go back in for him. I get the impression that there is a very firm take it or leave it terms by Leeds, which is probably closer to 30 million. I don't think Everton are prepared to pay that money for Willie Gnonto, and I think the deal's dead, if I'm being honest. I think Everton have moved on, but Willie Gnonto's a player that would have added a bit of quality, would have added pace, skill, but I think we need to move on. Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's not worry too much about it. Let's just move on. Everton have also been linked with Calmadine, Kalmaden Sulemana. Absolute pace merchant. In a good way. This is a guy that is young. Southampton bought him for a lot of money last summer. Was it January? Yeah, January. He's a player that's got real ability. He's got good skill. He can beat a man. He can glide past players. He's a player that Everton, you probably would say that they would benefit from. Obviously, with the potential outgoing of Demarai Gray, who appears to be attracting interest from other clubs, it's kind of good to have a player of. I genuinely do believe his potential quality. I'm putting a caveat on that because he is so young and we didn't see loads of him in the Premier League in a team that got relegated. But I would argue that every time we saw him play, he looked like a good player. He's more than capable of cutting the defence open. He's more than capable of doing something, and that at times is what Everton lack. Everton lack that player that can carry the ball through the lines, can beat a man on a sixpence, can create some quality moments, and Everton lack that. I'm not saying we haven't got players who can beat people. Iwobi can beat 3 or 4 players on the spot, but he's got very little pace, and sometimes his passing can be off. Dwight McNeil can beat people, can score goals, but he's not the quickest. He's got a good football IQ, to be fair to him, but he's kind of isolated on his own, and we haven't got anybody that really can break the lines. Really getting behind the defender unless it's an overlap from one of the fullbacks. I'd love to see a winger with a bit of pace. We actually look. All jokes aside, we haven't had a winger that just beats a man and delivers the ball since Andros Townsend before he got injured, and he scored 7 goals or whatever it was in a very short period of time. He's our top goal scorer at one point. So I would be happy with the signing of Sulemana. I really would. Everton have also been linked with. I can't quite believe I'm saying this. Everton have been linked with Mikel Antonio as a replacement for Demarai Gray. Now, that is not the case. He would never be a replacement for Demarai Gray. But what Mikel Antonio might be is a replacement for Neil Maupay, who doesn't have the same quality that Mikel Antonio does. Mikel Antonio is not young anymore. He's 32, 33. He's a player that obviously he's played in the Premier League now a long time. He started off as a left back for Forest, a player that could beat people and carry the ball up the line. He now is physically strong. He's still fairly quick. He can score a goal. He doesn't have a great injury record, but that's of late. And yeah, my worry with players like that is we need players who are going to stay fit. And my worry with Antonio is that he may not stay fit. He may struggle for fitness, and I have no doubt that he can do a job. But I don't. Unless it's a backup, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that at all. Yeah. So I'm on the fence about it. Everton have also been linked with Connie De Winter, Juventus defender. He is a player that I think he's. I'm not going to say he's fairly highly rated, but he's a Belgium youth international. He's a player that they believe he's valued at probably about £10 million. There's rumours of about 8.6, but let's be honest. I mean, it's very rarely right. He's probably a centre half that's got a bit of quality. He's got something that stands out, but he's not good enough to make the next step at Juventus, and that's not criticism of his. Juventus are a fantastic football team. So, what is the next step down? And are Everton even the next step down? I mean, we're so far removed from the elite of Europe that I don't know. But look, whenever it comes to signing players, and it seems a decent price, sub £10 million, we need a centre half. I do worry that we're lacking experience, especially when you've got, Godfrey, Banthwaite, potentially De Winter. There's not loads of experience in there when you take out Michael Keane and Tarkowski. Mason Holgate, I suspect, won't be at the football team. It just concerns me a little bit about the experience at the back, and I think that's key. I actually think the experience is absolutely key this season, and we just, I don't know if we could potentially move for someone just a little bit older but more experienced, maybe a bit more proven. Leading on to that, we've been yet again linked with Harry Maguire for Manchester United, and I mentioned it yesterday. I get that people would be negative about it. I could get it, but he's not. He would be a decent addition at Everton. We are talking about a player that regularly plays for England. We're talking about a player that has been captain for Manchester United. It's not a bad move. It's certainly not a bad move for Everton. I have very little issue. I have very little issue with that. Do I think it would happen? No, I don't. I think Everton are really trying to conserve money this summer. I don't think they're trying to spend big at all. I think that's kind of obvious, if I'm being honest, the fact that we haven't spent any money, really. The nominal loan fees here and there, but we've had money come in. Ellis Sims, Coventry have outspent us. Coventry City have outspent us, £8 million for Sims. We've had £1 million in from Preston for Tom Cannon, who's gone out on loan. So there's £9 million that we've had in. There's wages off the books. I'm sure there's a few other players that will go, but yeah, I think we need a bit more in most departments. We need another winger, in my opinion. We need a centre midfielder. We need a striker, and I think we need a centre half. And if you were really pushing me, I probably think we need another fullback, one that could probably be versatile and play both left and right, because Patterson and Coleman don't have a great injury record, and Ashley Young is, no disrespect to him, but he's getting on a bit, and Mikalenko's not good enough. So, I kind of feel like we could do with a bit more cover in those positions. I know Ben Godfrey can play left back and right back, but let's be honest, it was not great at times last season. He got twisted inside out a few times, and it really hurt. Playing Dwight McNeil at left back kills the attack, nullifies us. And I hope, by the way, that Sean Dyche has learned from that, because it was poor last season when he made them tactical decisions to put him at left back. It was stupid, but he did it. I think that's where we are. I think there is people there that need to prove a point this season. Dele Alli, for example, he looks like, as of right now, he's going to get some time at Everton, because nobody else has been linked with him apart from a weird move to West Brom. You've got Andre Gomez. He hasn't got the opportunity to go away yet, albeit he may leave. I'm not saying he might not, but at the minute, it doesn't look like he's going. You've got other players. Anana doesn't look like Anana's going. Decore, Garner, looks like they're going to be staples of the midfield. You've got James Garner, who, let's be real, he's a quality footballer. This is a guy that's just got player of the tournament in the under-21 ones internationals. He's clearly a very, very good player. I'm not saying he won England the tournament, because there was a lot of good players in there. Anthony Gordon had a good tournament, etc. But he was a standout. He played really well, and the times when Branthwaite was on the pitch, he played really well. So there's a lot of positives. I just think we need more. I just think we need more. I would feel much more confident going into this season if we brought in just a few extra players. I have no issue with bringing in players like Mikel Antonio. I know there's a lot of Everton fans that do, but I don't. I don't have an issue with it as long as he's not the only one. It looks like the deal for the young Sporting Lisbon lad is done. It looks like his terms are agreed. It looks like he's going to be having a medical before Friday on Merseyside. It looks like he'll probably fly over with the Sporting Lisbon team, say goodbye to them, and be an Everton player by the weekend. Be nice to see him in the Sporting Lisbon game, coming on, starting, doing something. I think it's refreshing that Calvert-Lewin's played 45 minutes. Big shout out to Lewis Dobbin, by the way, who scored and got an assist, but his goal was fantastic. He beats two people, carries the ball, lovely little pass off, beats two people, slots it in the bottom corner. That's exactly the sort of play we need. He looks really promising, Lewis Dobbin. He looks really promising. He looked, to be fair, when I first saw him, I thought he would be a better player than Sims, and I'm not digging Sims out. I think Sims was probably slightly harshly treated, but Dobbin looks a real prospect, and I think once he's just developed a bit more experience, he'll be sound. He'll be absolutely sound. And this is what I'm hoping, like players like Stanley Mills will get this season, that opportunity out of the club, a loan to a League One or Championship side, etc., etc. And then they step up, they make that progression into the Premier League. And I'm hoping that Lewis Dobbin does that this season. I hope we see a lot of him, because I really like him. He's quiet, goes about his business. And I think I'm feeling just weirdly, because nothing's really changed, I'm just feeling a bit more positive. I'm not sitting there saying we're going to stay up. I'm not saying we're going to score loads of goals. I'm not saying any of that. But I do feel like we're starting to do things in January, and that is exactly what we need to do. So, look, guys, that was a whistle stop again. Whistle stop, little 12.5-minute video talking about signings. I haven't really gone in depth on any of them, because while it's all gossip, there's no point. If it was a terms agreed and deal done, then I would go into it. But the only one that you could argue is looks like it's done is Yusuf Chameti, and I sort of went into him. He's made 16 appearances. He's scored 3 goals. He's a young lad. He's come in through the Sporting Lisbon Academy, and he's progressed through, and now he's getting a move to the Premier League. He's highly rated. All of that. I've gone through all of that, and I will do that again when we're in another position for another player. But yeah, if I was a betting man, I think he will be done the weekend, and then I think Sulemana will be in by the start of the Fulham game. I'm absolutely convinced that Sulemana will join, because I think Willie Gnonto deal was dead. I think that's done, and I think Demarai Gray Demarai Gray's gone, and I wish him the best of luck, because at times he lit up games for us. I never disliked him. He's a local lad to me. As I mentioned before, my little boy is going to his secondary school that he went to 20 years ago. So I've got all the time in the world for Demarai. I wish him the best of luck, whatever club he ends up at, but I don't think he's going to be an Everton player, if I'm being honest. And, I am 99.9% confident that he's not going to be an Everton player by the end of this window. There you go. Guys, leaving it there. Keep smiling. Up the toffees.